First off, I'd like to also congratulate Justin. Full disclosure, Justin's brother Bruce and I, we've been here since first grade. We were best buds, same team. So I've known Justin and Aaron basically since the day they were born. I watched him, I did get to catch some of his games. I saw that district championship final for senior year basketball, saw a couple football games. But I ran into Justin right when he graduated from Morehouse, and I talked him into playing in the flag football game with me. We had some tournament, and he's laughing over it. I've never seen grown men, more fearful of pulling a flag from someone than who got the ball in his run. But congratulations, man, you deserve it. All right, here we go. I want to start in 1998. I called Larry Wolf, who was then the football coach at Reedy, and I was just starting a business in athlete training, and I asked him if I could come down and try to promote my services to his athletes, and he said, sure, come on down. Aaron had just essentially finished his sports career and was kind of in limbo that summer as far as getting into the workforce, so I asked him if he wanted to come down and help me just demonstrate some of the drills. He said, fine. So I figured if he demonstrated, I could talk and so forth. So I laid this agility ladder out in the garage and demonstrated a few drills for him to do. He completely botched them up. And I was getting kind of worried, and I eventually said, you want me to do this? Because you can just talk with Coach Wolf. He's not. So we pack it up, we head down, and it was raining, so we did this stuff inside. And Coach Wolf said, he introduced us, said this is Adam and Aaron Kessler. Adam's down here to try to show you a few drills that you can do to get better. Aaron was the fastest athlete I've ever coached. And the kids kind of looked up and saw this boy, and they're like, okay. Now, just a side note, Larry's been very consistent about this throughout the years. My mom has a whole bunch of scrapbooks of us, and I went through a lot of articles, so I got a lot of quotes in this speech, but I've got a quote direct from Larry. It says, baseball, the other returner is junior outfielder Aaron Kessler, the fastest player I've ever coached, Wolf said. So I'm not making this up. He said it, and if you ask him to this day, he would still contend he's the fastest athlete he ever worked with. So I begin my presentation, and then it's about showtime for Aaron. And so he said, all right, let's do this drill. And he fires through this drill so fast, his feet were so quick, so light, it was like he created this thing. So I'm going, whew, and he blasts through each one. The kids, several of them literally go, wow. I've never heard that about some of these stupid drills that we did. But that agility drill, in a nutshell, captures how great of an athlete Aaron is. And I mean that by saying, I've been a coach now for 20 years, and I know that's not as long as some of these other guys, but it's long enough to know that there's a difference between playing with great athletes and seeing what they can do, and being a coach and observing athletes and seeing what they can do. I can look at an athlete, see them move a few drills, and I can tell you exactly how good they are. Aaron firing through there, I mean, you could tell he was a great athlete. And I assume when opposing coaches were scouting Aaron's teams, if they didn't have a roster, you know, they could probably look for a couple minutes and they'd say, Aaron Kessler must be number 32. Now that number 32, Aaron's number, has been ingrained in my kids' heads because they go to my parents' house and they see all these pictures. So much that my youngest last week goes, Dad, I didn't get my number on the basketball jersey. You're not really thinking. I said, well, what number is that? And she responded with the attitude that I've obviously passed down to her. Number 32, the Kessler number. Okay. Aaron was not a rah-rah guy, but he led by example. He had a lot of great, quiet confidence. I think the coaches really appreciated the special athlete that they had. His teammates, I'm sure they probably felt a lot more confident going into the games that Aaron was on their team. And Aaron didn't let anything bother him. No matter what he did. I saw games where they gave him the ball for the last shot, he He'd make it, same demeanor. Saw another game he missed, same thing. So, just you can read all what Aaron did. He was a 12-sport athlete, football, basketball, and baseball. I need to get a drink, hold on. 3-sport captain. He was the MVP of his senior year for football and baseball. Now, I think a lot of us, we know people who are naturally great athletes, but sometimes that doesn't correlate onto the playing field as far as their success. And I think vice versa. I think there are good athletes who might not be good people who have success in the athletic field, but they aren't necessarily natural athletes. Aaron was successful in accomplishing both goals. Aaron's athleticism would be on full display when he ran the 40-yard dash. Now, the 40-yard dash is the coveted event of these football combines, these camps now, and I've had clients or athletes that have got college scholarships because they ran a good 40, and I've also had clients who did not get drafted in the NFL because they didn't run a good 40. Aaron's 40 time was pretty remarkable. It was anywhere from 4.4 to 4.5. He had the fastest time his junior and senior year that summer. He had the fastest 40 time at 2 football camps. And that fast time also correlated into a 37-inch vertical jump. That also got Aaron notice from football. He had a few letters here and there, but he was put in his senior year magazine, the 1993 Prep Football Prospects of Ohio. In that magazine was future OSU football players, Orlando Pace, Pepe Pearson, Jerry Brzezinski, Aaron Kessler. And they had a picture of him, they had a little bio, said, well, he could be a receiver, he's fast, he's a great athlete. And up until that point, Aaron had been a running back for the football team. But there was a void in the quarterback his senior year, and the coaches realized we need to maximize this kid's production, so we'd be better suited just to throw him at the football position, let him become a dual threat quarterback. So he was a runner and a thrower. And he was very successful at his senior year. The one play that I only saw one game, so luckily he did it in this game, but I don't know if it was a design run or a broken play, but Aaron was running towards the end zone, and he leapt up in the air, and the guy was trying to hit him and maybe clipped his lower body, where Aaron literally did a flip, landed on his feet in the end zone, scored the touchdown. They ended up winning the game, and it was played on the highlights of Friday, Football Friday night at the end. There's another story with when you watch Aaron jump, it's explosive. And I'm not going to say he's Michael Jordan, but his leaping ability is reminiscent of that. He just hangs in the air forever and ever and ever, and then he'll shoot, and it might go in. But the one story I got wasn't at an academy game. It was a summer league he played his sophomore year at Capitol. And he was playing against, there was a kid there by the name of Nate Wilborn, who was 6'10". Aaron is not 6'10". And he eventually played at OSU, and then he went to South Carolina. He was cherry picking, they had a fast break, and he's going down thinking he's getting an easy dunk. And Aaron sprints down, jumps up, and blocks the dunk. And of course, Nate got ridiculed for it. Aaron just gets the rebound, dribbles back down, starts the offense. And that's what he did. I will say this. I think Aaron's probably the shortest Hall of Famer who was able to dunk. And dunk with some authority. But Aaron's sport was baseball. And the phrase that comes to mind for me is a 5-tool player. 5-tool player being he hits for batting average, hits for power, he's got a throwing arm that's great, defensive prowess, and he's got speed. I just want to throw down a few quotes that I think really captures the essence of what he did. He threw a guy out at the plate and it was just unbelievable. I like that. He plays really aggressive. He's run down a lot of balls out there. It's bat speed and strength. His home runs are enormous shots when they come off the bat. It's hard to describe. 2 diving catches by Aaron Kessler in left field prompted oohs and ahs in the bleachers. Outfielder Aaron Kessler's play ignited post 115 throughout the series. His speed on the base path, defensive prowess, and long home runs came at key points in the entire tournament. I will say this. I know who the players are that have played baseball in Academy history. I will argue that my brother is on the short list of the greatest baseball players to ever play. And I will even say this. I think his senior year is probably one of the greatest seasons ever produced, not just in Academy history, but probably in the state of Ohio. His line, now granted, he only played 22, 23 games, but he batted .545, had 40 stolen bases, 7 home runs, 41 runs, 11 doubles, 3 triples, and 31 walks. His on-base percentage was .680, so essentially, for every 10 plate appearances, he was on base about 7 times. All those stats, they were among the area leaders. And I went back, because I'm a geek like this, and I looked at stats for the last 10 years of the All-Metro team, which Aaron was a part of his senior year. And you can find people that have the same power that he had. When you throw in the speed, there's no one close, not one. I think the closest stolen bases was 19. The home run or the moment that comes to mind with me is the St. Charles home run. So in 2001, there was a website called HOF. It's a forum for high school sports, and people who have no time on there. They go on there and they write about high school sports. Anyways, the topic of baseball was longest home run I've ever seen. And someone anonymously, I don't know who it was, but they posted in 1994, I saw an Academy kid hit this home run at St. Charles. That was by far the longest shot I've ever seen. And he goes on to describe, I've never been to St. Charles Stadium, but he goes on to describe the stadium and how the distance was. And I asked my gas back, and he said, yeah, that's your brother. The story behind that is St. Charles, one of their guys hit a home run. And apparently he was showing up the Academy players, but we all know how sensitive baseball players are, so who knows what he was actually doing. But they had the lead. Late innings, Aaron comes up to bat, 2 people on, and he just launches this home run. And in true style, he just runs around the bases, tags home plate like he's done it a million times. Aaron continued, one more thing. Some might argue the best home run that he knocked out of the park was the day he married Meredith King. I will let you guys argue that. I just suck up to my sister. Aaron continued his success in college. He was a 3-year starter, 2-year leadoff hitter, batted over 300. His team was a 2-time Ivy League champ, and Aaron left with several records. He was tied for second for most hits in a game with 6. He was 5th among most stolen bases in a season with 22. He tied for first with most doubles in a game, and he had the 4th longest hitting streak at 18, which, coincidentally, I was at the game where that streak ended. The only game I ever saw my brother, and I'm sorry about that. I run into guys every so often who played with Aaron, some on these teams that are 5th and 6th grade. None of these guys ever have a bad word to say about this guy, and they all talk about how great of an athlete he was. Aaron's accomplishments, as I mentioned, not only were noticed by his coaches and his peers, but when you're an athlete, you don't realize how the younger generation looks up at you. And I happened to be having a conversation with someone who went to Academy at the time that Aaron was here. And he had something really nice to say about Aaron, which was, I looked up to Aaron because he was such a good all-around athlete. That was really important to me. He was also very nice and humble, which made him a great role model. I didn't gravitate toward arrogant athletes, so to see one of the best athletes in the school behave the way he did was important to me. And I think that sums up what everybody has been saying about the guy. And this person was a good athlete in his own right. A couple years ago, he was a silver medalist in the 110 high hurdles. Some of you guys might have known him. His name is Ryan Wilson. I played with a lot of great athletes, coached a whole bunch more. If you look at the totality of Aaron's accomplishments and his physical gifts, he's absolutely one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen. It's pretty awesome. He's my brother.
Please join join me in celebrating Aaron Kessler as the 35th inductee to the Columbus Academy Athletic Hall of Fame.
Wow. Didn't know Adam was so verbose. He was known as a mute at Academy. He's definitely developed some good speaking skills. I wanted to thank Melissa Soderberg, Columbus Academy's head school, for having me here today. Thank you to Brian Shepard and the Board of Trustees for bestowing this award upon me. It's quite an honor. I do not take it for granted and humbly accept. Congratulations, Justin, on your most deserved induction. Although I never saw you play, your brother Bruce pushed me around quite a bit as I was growing up. He was a tenacious competitor, so I'm assuming this runs in the family. I was reminiscing on the plane ride to Columbus Academy about my younger years in Academy's lower and middle school, and I clearly remember I was in awe of the upper school athletes. I thought they were so big in stature and larger than life. Don Leschnach, Tim Vermeulen, Mark Plessinger, even my brother Adam Kessler, who's under 40 pounds. But these were individuals I looked up to and tried to emulate. My freshman year in football, Colby Penzo and Victor Thorne used to annihilate me in our defensive drills. I thought they were huge, and I would never be that powerful. These are observations we probably all made at different times in our lives, but as an athlete, they stand out vividly in my mind. The admiration as a lower schooler for all the older athletes, the desire to hang in there and be tough enough to take it, when actually playing with the upperclassmen. And then one day, bam, you are the upperclassmen. The athlete the younger generation is looking up to. I can only hope that I had some kind of positive influence on the younger student athletes at the Columbus Academy, because I can assure you that the athletes before me inspired me. I used to think others had so much more competitive desire than me, and this always fascinated me. Ryan Hughley was one such athlete who I absolutely despised playing against because, frankly, he tried so damn hard. Even in the silliest of drills. To this day, when I see him at open gym, I know it's going to be an all-out competition. Yet he and others like him were the types of individuals we followed with the hope of one day achieving their ability. As a 7th grader, John Dodd let me practice with big boys. And I was given the opportunity to guard Don Leschnach, a senior and one of the best athletes Academy's ever seen. He shoved me away like a little fly during those practices, but it made me a better athlete. Mike Coconut used to hustle around like a madman, and that always intrigued me. This relentless passion was awesome. He lives minutes away from me today, and he's still battling. My good friend Nate Williamson is so freaking competitive and always had a motor that just wouldn't stop. Meredith, my wife, has an inner desire and heart that is unmatched by anyone. And I'm envious and inspired by the spirit deep within her. I'm still trying to figure out what drives her to the amazing heights she has achieved. 60 Ironmans, who does that? I always thought what I accomplished was all ability passed down from my parents, basically in my genes. I then began to think about my childhood. I realized one just didn't show up and automatically become good at a sport. With me, it was through countless hours with my brother getting beat down by him and his friends. Countless hours with my father throwing footballs and baseballs, hitting ball after ball, and shooting. Countless hours with my mother, who hit me grounders and somehow caught my pitches. Countless hours with friends, doing every activity from ping pong to fishing to swimming to running aimlessly in the woods. Countless hours during recess playing wall dodge or gym class with Coach Stahl, learning new sports from wrestling and climbing rope. This was playing, but essentially it was laying the foundation for dexterity, competition, leadership, reactions, and everything needed to excel in sports and to an extent life. We didn't sit in front of a TV, text on our phone, or have a sedentary lifestyle. Everything was centered on being active. I realized there was an ABD-like focus once my parents exposed me to a new activity that I enjoyed, almost to the point of obsession. At night, my dad and brother would shoot baskets with me under the lights. Once they went to bed, I didn't stop. A small hitting machine was set up in my basement, and I would swing for hours to music. I would jump and touch everything I could, always trying to add additional inches to my vertical leap. I remember my biggest failures and successes most vividly, as most people do, and everything else in between as it was washed away with time. Until I began thinking about this induction ceremony and speech. I perused through my learning experiences in my mind when I was the youngest person on Pickerington's baseball travel team, seating the bench for the entire season, having success in freshman football without ever playing a sport at an organized level, and not making varsity basketball as a sophomore. These small successes, failures, all shaped me. These thoughts were part of a cathartic realization I had not long ago that success in athletics was no accident. Yes, genes did play a big part, but I initially thought it played a much larger role. I know now that I too had an inner motor that no one saw, and one that I didn't realize until recently, that honed the athletic skills and helped build on the foundation given to me by my parents. It was the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours to become an expert analogy. Some of my friends throughout my middle school and high school years have these inner motors as well. Bill Reuter in tennis, Nate Williamson in soccer, Hunter Leahy in basketball, Tyler Denby and Billy Ray, working with Coach Stahl in the training room, Andy Ray in ceramics, Craig Seeger in the weight room, and so many more. Yes, you can be given a lot of tools, but it's up to the individual to see where that takes you. That motor also may come later in life. It always amazes me to see where people's lives have taken them and what their passion becomes. Andy Ray is an art teacher here and winemaker. Brett Worthy, OBGYN extraordinaire. Pat Yin became a chef before embarking on a video game. Zach Waltz is not only a busy businessman, but he has a goat farming tends to in addition to his family duties. My brother is one of the top speed facilities in Columbus. All these people utilizing their inner motors. Who would have thunk it? I always cringe when someone comes up to my wife and as a compliment says, "You are so lucky you're able to be a triathlete for your job." Yes, they're being nice and respectful, but in our eyes, you make your own luck. Hard work prevails. Your achievements are not lucky. My thoughts and thanks go to my teachers and coaches at the Columbus Academy, Larry and Greg Wolf, Jim Stahl, David Block, Debbie Kieran, Tim Hilbert, Bob Kirk, John Excellent, Terry McConnell, and the list goes on and on. What an all-star group of human beings that molded the lives of children. We're also lucky to grow up in this environment. I often think of my Harvard baseball coach, Joe Walsh, one of the great ones who passed away a few years back. He taught me hard work and performance is all that should matter in life, even though in the real world that sometimes is not the case. If you worked hard, played the game right, gave it your all, you'd be in the lineup and rewarded. There were no politics, no masking your flaws, and the team is what mattered. Individuals who whined or complained or promoted their success over the teams wouldn't last on a Coach Walsh team. This is the beauty and purity of a team done right. Who would have thought a bunch of Harvard geeks would finish the year ranked 23rd in the nation, beat powerhouses UCLA and Miami, Florida, and produce the best baseball team in school history? This is a perfect example of learning the best life lessons from sports. A thank you goes out to my high school friends at the Columbus Academy. I'm almost done. It's amazing we continue to enjoy each other's company to this day. Through all the ups and downs and curveballs that are thrown at you during your life, we are still connected. The Columbus Academy must be a very special place to have laid the foundation to encourage, cultivate, and grow these lasting relationships. We will continue to have all of our life adventures together, even though we are apart for most of the year. Getting together was always like old times. To Dave, Kelsey, Chase, and Reese out there somewhere. It's rare in life that our paths have taken us minutes down the road from each other, thousands of miles from where we all began. Meredith and I are very grateful that we can share in the growth of your family. Thank you to the Kierans, Debbie and Keith, who have watched me grow into manhood, and for letting me marry their daughter. Debbie was my first grade teacher, by the way. This is how far deep our roots grow. Your unwavering love of your children and their families is evident in everything you do. Once again, thank you, Adam, for being the big brother that showed me the way in athletics and life. It's been rewarding watching you and your family grow through the years and how you and Rose have molded two amazing children, Anna and Morgan. Thank you to my parents for these wonderful genes, even though I didn't grow to the 6'4" that I was hoping for. I used to blame my mother's side of the family and how my Uncle George was 5'6" or so. She always points out on my father's side of the family, my Uncle David was 5'8". Nonetheless, it would have been nice to have the size of my second cousin Matt Leiter play for the Patriots. Heck, my brother was 6'2", and that would have been great as well. As you grow older, you grow wiser, and it's been apparent to me for a while that Adam and I lucked out in the parent category. In this day and age in our country, with academic and broken families, my parents created a wonderful environment of nurturing, teaching, and values. It was not always easy, but they pulled it off with an effortless grace. Thank you to my wife, Meredith. If I had a quarter of the drive and dedication to sports as she does, I'd be in the major leagues. She continues to amaze and surprise me on a daily basis with her demeanor, hard work, and loving nature to everyone she meets. I know without a doubt she will continue to do great and important things in her life. Well, I'm excited to watch our team play tonight, and hopefully they'll create lasting memories, not unlike the ones that I've had at the Columbus Academy. Thank you all for coming, and again, to the Columbus Academy, presenting me with this honor. It is not taken lightly, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.